You did an awesome video with where you cooked the same dish as Mike, and you let him cook it his way, and then you came behind and showed how a chef would do it, how you would prep it, how you would sort of think ahead by looking at the recipe to see ways you could cut time and make things more efficient, and you have more effective preparation and things like that. What kind of cooking hacks and tips does a chef have, that could really help people who are coming home from long days, or, gone to, like, when I do jujitsu, so I'm home at 10 o'clock at night. What kind of prep hacks, cooking hacks, and stuff like that have you kind of found that speed things up?
Yeah, I think so. Part of the anyone who's seen the show knows that a little bit tongue in cheek, but we split the five of us you see on screen between chefs and normals, and that is very simply done because as chefs we are funny and peculiar people, and we do think in slightly unusual ways, and it's not normal. But I think it's the ways that we think, and it's often about a lot of sort of time management and again, this is where my inner geek comes out, but I love a Gantt chart. Which tasks can overlap, which means you can get it done in a shorter amount of time. Or like a game of chess, can you be thinking four moves ahead? If I'm going to need to poach an egg at the end, it might be one of the first things you need to do is put a pan of water on to come up to the boil. Those kind of things. The same with pasta, the same with rice. I think as a chef, you tend to be thinking a few moves ahead and multitasking. So I would say in terms of when you're coming home from a busy day, then it's just taking just a second, just a moment, just to think about the entire recipe rather than jumping straight in and just doing the first thing, and trying to think ahead. What are the time barriers you might come up against, and can you start them a bit earlier? And again, that's the thinking we've put into the audio guides for our PAX app, is to think a bit like a chef. Because the other thing you'll notice is when any of the guys on screen cook, Jamie, Barry, Mike, they are so focused on the cooking that they're not necessarily thinking about the carnage and the mess that they're creating around them. And again, that's kind of normal because you're concentrating on the one thing that doesn't come as second nature, which is the cooking part. So part of the thing we've built into the audio guide is, hey, so you just put your pasta in while that bubbles away for a few minutes. Now's a good time to clear up your chopping board and knife and grater and get a sieve ready. Because it's those thinking ahead bits that makes food and cooking more effortless, rather than one task at a time and then getting to one and thinking, oh, if I'd have already chopped that, it could have gone in now, but now I'm going to have to take the pan off the heat because it's burning and I haven't yet done this bit. So it's very much just time management.
Because that's the bits I love about your show, is that when you watch the Chefy Chef battles, you really see how you can pack such quality prep and cooking into such a small amount of time by juggling 50, 60 different things, but you can see the step by step planning that you have. Does that just come from your time in the service industry where you were cooking at such large volumes? Or, I mean, is this something you can develop yourself, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, both James and I, although it's been many years since we've worked in a professional kitchen now, we've both trained in the service industry, and personally speaking, really busy sort of high volume restaurants. I've also done hotel work, which span from fine dining to catering for a wedding for 300 people. And all of those kind of skills, you learn how to get ahead. The chefy term being mise en place, which literally means get things in place. And by doing that, you stay one step ahead, and you stay in control. I think can you do that at home? I would say absolutely. Not to necessarily the point where you create more work and more washing up and dirty more items. I think in the restaurant trade, if you go into a restaurant, there might be 10 things on a menu, and any one of those things you order can be prepared in 20 minutes, say. And that's because a lot of the hard work and the hard prep has been done in the whole rest of the day by the kitchen team long before evening service. And that might be chopping things up and getting them ready. It might be parboiling. It might be stewing down meat really long and slow. So all you're doing is just doing the finishing touches. You can do some of that at home as well, especially if you're entertaining. There's a lot of dishes that you can get most of the work done ahead of time, so that when your mates come over, you're not having to stress about it. It just kind of unfolds in real time and can be pretty simple, but not to the extent of prepping everything and putting it into lots of little bowls and getting too far ahead, which means that at the end of it, you've got 12 little bowls to wash up. So it's about juggling what's realistic, as well as sort of, yeah, getting everything in place. Mise en place is everything.